So because somebody asked for it, this is the Straze team that you can see currently for rank 2 and rank 8. Both are using Straze. And then last week, it was the rank 1 team. Is this the best team this week? No, it's actually Bologna, because Bologna with Song of Stars can apply target, which is super, super hard to gear. You do need a pretty high damage Bologna in order to do this, because you won't be having a damage boosting artifact. So this team is mostly just for fun, because it's I think the top 3 spots, this is Song of Stars Bologna, this is probably Song of Stars Bologna, and this is Straze, but with a very hard to do setup, which I don't think I can do properly, but I'll be showing the concept for it anyways. So if you're trying to just do top 100, just use Bologna or Yuna. Just save yourself the trouble. But we can look at their stats real quick. Everybody's the same, except for Straze, of course. Achilles, she's just fast with some HP. And since the effectiveness never matters for me, I'm not bothering with it this time. One thing to note is that Warhorn gives 117 flat attack at max. And then there's Luluka. Luluka Spirit's Breath for the S2 thing. Attack down EE. And then she's just damage, a bit of speed, and some effectiveness. Well, it's the same old POS, full damage. And then there's Straze, the new one. So Straze's got a bunch of things going for him. One, he does so much damage that you don't even need a damage boosting artifact. So you can give him this instead. Super Duper Water Shooter gives 5% attack for Violet and 10% effectiveness for Luluka. Like I mentioned earlier, Warhorn gives 117 flat attack and Super Duper Water Shooter gives 234. So this gives a little bit more damage to Straze, so it's better to have this on him instead. And then his team attack imprint will give both Luluka and Violet a bit more damage. And then aside from that, he fills the Bologna role, so it's just damage with a bit of speed. One other thing worth mentioning is, since I'm just doing a concept viz and I don't expect to clear, you do need a little bit more HP than this probably, because he is Dark Element. And being Dark Element, he'll take extra damage from Elena's S1s. So the reason he works is because S2 is AoE and S3 is AoE. But S2 is on a 3-turn cooldown, which means that if you S2 then S3, S2 won't be back up. However, Achilles S2 does reduce cooldown by 1 turn. So if you Achilles S2 into Straze, he'll have S2 back up for that turn. This is, of course, hard to gear, but actually, it's not even the gear so much as it is the speed tuning, because you need to make sure that you have leeway to Achilles S3 into Straze, especially during the 3rd phase, which I don't have. In my run, I have to Achilles S2 into herself to get the S3 back up, or my team dies. One thing is that even with his lower HP, since you're Achilles S2ing into Straze, he does get a little bit more healing. So that is one thing to factor in. And then, aside from that, if you want to do this for fun, just because you don't have Bologna or Yuna for some reason, you could use Candlestick here. Since you're doing S2, then S3, and then S2, it's not like Vivian where you had to S2 every single turn. You do have 2 turns to try and proc Candlestick, so it's a bit less RNG. But, yeah. And then we can go into a run real quick, and we can see what it's like. So the run works pretty much the same as usual. We're just going to drop our AoEs, and we're going to clear. Mainly we're going to look at phase 1, because the rest of the phases should go the same, and since I'm not really clearing this whole thing, it's kind of whatever. So we heal up here. Straze drops his S2 to clear the skill nulls. Luluka S3 for the AoE. And then we're going to S2 into Straze to get his S2 back up. Eat the apple for a POS stack, and we might as well get some damage on Elena. Though we missed crit, so it's kind of whatever. And now we can we'll hit the bottom ad in case Violet misses crit on this later. One funny thing about Straze S3 is that it actually kind of does a decent amount of damage. Hit you for a cool 67k massive. We're going to hit the top one with Luluka because she's guaranteed to do the 5% or the 10% remaining HP that we need. Katie's hit this bottom one. And then Violet hit it. He hit his crit, so we didn't need to Katie's there, but it's good for safety. Now Straze can clear these, and we're going to be going into the next phase. The usual break phase. Or the usual divinity phase, rather. Eat apple, so we have perception, and also to get focus, and the POS stack. And then we look at S3, and we'll go into the break phase. And the break phase is the same as usual, it's just use Straze S1 because his cooldowns are a bit long. And that's pretty much it for the comp. So you can see that we had to Akades S2 into Straze in order to get our S2 back up in time. And that's basically what's holding the whole comp together. It's definitely hard to tune because trying to stay in live in the third phase without being able to use Akades S2 on anyone but Straze is a bit of a difficulty. So I would say that's where most of the difficulty of this comp comes from, just trying to make it so you survive phase 2 or phase 3. And that's why I can't do this. But I'll see how far I get with the rest of the run, and I'll see you guys in a bit.
자, 빼지 말고 덤벼봐. 나랑 싸운 걸 영광으로 하려고. 공포에 물들 시간이다.
여신을 위하여 빛으로
영웅의 실력을 보여주지.
저리 비켜! 이럴 시간이 없다고요! 함께한다!
내 얼굴 말고 검을 보라고. 날 똑바로 봐. 자, 빼지 말고 덤벼봐. 허무하게 지내. 잘 가라.
그대에게 내릴 거룩한 시련 감내하고 만끽하소서.
빛내릴 시간이 다가오는군. 한결을 시험하지.
다시 싸우세요. 모두 구원해드릴게요. 놀라나요? 너도 한패야? 뭐 상관없지. 지지 않을 거예요.
차가운 혼돈을 선사하지. 그 어떤 운명도 이 검을 피할 순 없다. 영웅의 실력을 보여주지.
좋네요. 여신을 위하여 저를 기다렸나요? 복수는 나의 것이다.
절망을 받아들여라. 공허로 돌아가게.
모두 구원해드릴게요.
내 도움이 필요하지?
지지 않을 거예요. 좋아져라. 용서하지 않겠다. 별의 축복 우리에게 내린다.
빛내릴 시간이 다가오는군.
여신을 위하여
공포에 물들 시간이다. 날 보고 넋이 나가. 이 검 아래 무릎 꿇게 해주마. 자, 빼지 말고 덤벼봐.
어리석은 불신자들에게 지금 별의 시간을
And as you can see, I died there because I had a really specific phase 2 setup that I was using, which gets broken apart when I can't Akades S2 into myself, apparently, because I needed the HP to survive that now on S3. But you get the general concept behind the team. It's just using Straze as a technically no RNG method, which doesn't matter as much this week because Bologna is a no RNG method, whereas last week Vivian was full RNG. Ainz was also another no RNG method that people were using last week. But yeah, that's just the idea behind the team. And since I'm already secure for my top 100, I'm not figuring that out. My specific phase 2 ending needed me to heal up with a KDs, and I can't do that, and I would die in phase 3 anyway, so there was one person who asked for this. I hope you enjoyed the video, or anybody else who is watching this, and I will see you guys for the next rotation.